I'm Cheryl Grace, corporate executive and founder of the lifestyle brand Powerful Penny. When I started my career, no one would help me. And I vowed that if I ever became successful, I would make it my business to mentor others. I've done just that for 20 plus years. And what I know for sure is that names change, but the challenges rarely do. So join me as I mentor 5 professionals in real time on Live from the Pink Couch. Who knows? You might just discover a solution to your career dilemma.
Welcome to the premiere episode of Live from the Pink Couch. Yay, we made it. I'm Cheryl Grace, and I'm happy that you've taken time out of your Sunday, your family day, to spend a little bit of time with us this afternoon. A bit of information about myself and how we all came to be here today. By day, I work for a global market research company as a senior vice president, and I love my job. But as an executive level leader of a global brand, I get asked a lot about being a mentor, and I get asked a lot about how I got to where I am and what success metrics did I use. So in 2018, I launched my own personal lifestyle brand called Powerful Penny, and I did it to help people get to their next level of best in 6 core areas of their lives. And the career core pillar is the one that I get asked the most about.
So you can go to powerfulpenny.com, my website, and learn about all 6 core pillars that I provide services and information on. But for the purposes of today, we're really going to be stressing the career pillar because let's face it, everybody wants to do better professionally.
When I started off in my career, nobody would help me. And that was back in the day when we had these things called typewriters. And you had to literally type a letter to every person that you were interested in helping you. And so I sent a letter to every professional African-American woman that I knew in the advertising industry because that's the industry I was interested in going into. And crickets. I got no responses. And so I vowed at that time that if ever I became a successful businesswoman, that I would not turn anybody away. And so that's why we're here today, because I wanted to help people more than just one person at a time. And I thought maybe we could do it this way. So we've got 5 wonderful women here. And I want to share that I am not a coach. I'm a mentor. And according to Forbes, there's a difference. So mentors are successful people who share their hard-won wisdom to provide insight and guidance. And typically they function in a reactive capacity, which I think we're going to all agree that that's what we're doing here is a little bit reactive, and responding to issues as they arise. And mentors may not have expertise in the mentees field, but they understand how to navigate business in general. So I don't know all of your industries. Maya, we're going to introduce you, and you're an industrial engineer, and I tapped out in engineering when I had to put together a popsicle bridge. But coaches, on the other hand, often have expertise in the same field as the people they're helping. They're usually trained and certified as coaches, and they possess strong process management skills. So that's the difference. So as part of the Live from the Pink Couch web series, I'm going to make sure each of you guys gets identified with a professional coach who can help you in whatever your aspirations are, okay?
Just so you know how this works, I'm going to be handing out homework assignments to each of you. You're going to have 2 weeks to complete those assignments. And when you come back on the show, and we air live every 2nd and 4th Sunday of the month, and when you come back, your homework assignments are going to have to be completed at that time. And I'm going to ask you about them. I'm also encouraging all of you who are watching us right now from home and joining us today to also do these homework assignments because you may find that they're going to be helpful to you as well. If you're joining us from home, here's what you should know about the Next Level Tribe. Once a mentee achieves her goal, she'll be voted out of the tribe. That's a good thing because it means she's achieved her goal. And once that happens, I'm going to be bringing in a new mentee who has the same career dilemma, so the tribe will constantly be evolving. So stay tuned because you too could be sitting here on the pink couch.
let's start by introducing each person. I had each person fill out an intake form when they interviewed for this particular opportunity. And as part of that, what they were asked to do was they were asked to identify what their pink elephant is. And a pink elephant is your biggest, most audacious goal that you need to lean into faith a little bit in order to bring to life. And you have to count on someone to help you. So those are your pink elephants.
Meet Rebecca. Rebecca received her master's degree in integrated marketing communications in 2011 and immediately began working at a global brand where she worked for 7 years in various roles with incremental responsibilities and was even a graduate of the company's executive education leadership program. But in 2018, the wheels fell off when her role was suddenly eliminated. Since then, Rebecca's been consulting and she's applied for at least 40 positions and she's been on at least 20 interviews. Clearly, her resume is getting her in the door, but she's not yet been able to seal the deal. Her number one pink elephant goal is to get a job. Say hello to Rebecca, my hopeful mentee.
Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca Roussel and I am 35 years old. I am the hopeful mentee. I'm also an experienced marketing maven. And I'm really excited to join this experience because I can't wait to have these group of women help keep me motivated as I continue to chart the path of my next career journey and story.
Meet Miley. Miley's been working for the last 3 years for a notable nonprofit organization where she's currently the Senior Director of Communications and Marketing. Now, throughout her journey, she's always focused on refining her talents while learning new capabilities and skills along the way. And until now, Miley's always been really clear about her path forward on what her next title is going to be. But now that she's at a more senior level role, there are less of these opportunities available, and she recognizes the importance of needing to focus on priorities that are going to help her create a next level opportunity in her current organization, or maybe think about working someplace else. Miley has more than 16 years of work experience with major brands, so there's no reason she shouldn't be a VP at this stage of her career, but I think she's been playing small because she's comfortable there. Miley's pink elephant goal is really fuzzy to me. She says that she wants to be in a position where I've identified and received leadership alignment of a plan to ensure that I'm promoted to a vice president by July 1, 2021.
So I'm just going to reclaim that for you. You want to be a VP?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And let's work with that.
Hi, my name is Miley Garcia. I am 38 years old. I am a communications and marketing professional, and I've been doing this line of work for about 16 years. I am joining this wonderful group of women today as the rising star. For me, I'm hoping to learn from this experience what I need to do to reach my next audacious goal and what that looks like, some of the steps to help me achieve it along the way. Right now, I'm a part of a really great organization that I believe in deeply, but I'm always wondering what's next on my level and what's next in my career. And so I'm really looking forward to learning more from this group and growing through this experience.
Next up, we have Darsh. Darsh graduated in 2017 with a degree in business administration and a concentration in human resources and finance. She's been working for the last 18 months for a major global brand whose name we would all recognize immediately, but we can't say here. But she's been working as a business development analyst. This is her third job in 3 years. Now, Darsh worked her first job for about a year when she got the yearning to open her own business. And so she quit to open a restaurant. But she quickly discovered it takes more than 3 months to open up a restaurant. Go figure. And so she went back to work. Darsh's number one pink elephant goal is to open a fast, casual Indian street food restaurant in the Chicago River North area by January 2021. She is my Lone Star mentee. Welcome, Darsh.
Hi, my name is Darsh Saikumar. I am 24 years old and I am a marketing and sales professional. Super excited to be part of this event with these wonderful ladies today. I've been in my career a little short of 2 years now, but always had the need to kind of start something on my own. So I'm here to, learn a bit more about what it really takes to start your own business while you're in a 24-hour job as well. So really looking forward to connecting with everybody and learning from everyone.
Meet Maya, the newbie. Maya graduated from Purdue University, one of the top engineering schools in the country, last May with a degree in industrial engineering technology and a minor in organizational leadership. Maya started working for a major big box store her senior year in college, and we're not going to share the name of the store, but you all know it. She started there as a cashier in the fall of 2019. And since then, she has received 3 promotions and is now a support manager. Not too shabby. Her number 1 pink elephant goal is to have an entry-level position that pays at least $50,000 a year by June 10th, 2020. Say hello to Maya, my newbie mentee.
Hello, my name is Georgia Maya McChristian. I am 23 years old and I have been out of school for 7 months now, having graduated in May. I am the newbie, meaning I just graduated from school and I'm still trying to figure out how I want to start my career exactly. So I'm very excited for this mentoring opportunity so that I can have people who have been at different stages in their career give me advice on how I can get there too.
I want everybody to meet Jacqueline. Jacqueline is our Career 2.0 star. She's from Michigan, and after a 20-year career in the automotive industry and after raising her family, she decided to go back to school and reinvent herself. She received her Associate of Applied Science degree in Multimedia Video in 2016 and another associate's degree in Graphic Design in 2018. She's currently enrolled in Columbia College in Chicago, where she's going to be receiving her bachelor's degree in photojournalism come this May. Jacqueline's pink elephant goal is to work for a major news organization such as the Associated Press as a photojournalist, and she'd like to get that job by September 2020. Meet Jacqueline.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Luttrell, and I am 55 years old, and I am Career Mentee 2.0. I'm currently a senior majoring in photojournalism at Columbia College, Chicago. I was recruited during my time as a combat sports photographer, and since coming to Columbia, I've decided to pursue the career in photojournalism. I'd like to work for Associated Press, New York Times, Washington Post, or one of the papers here in Chicago. I'm really excited about being a part of this group and with these ladies as we go on this journey to discover where we will end up in God's plan.
Now that we've had a chance to meet each of the mentees, let's spend a little bit of time getting to learn a little bit more about their individual career challenges as they sit and chat with me live on the pink couch.
So, Rebecca, why are you here?
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Rebecca.
I'm here because I want to get back to being on the top. I was on the top for a very long time, and I think that was a pretty successful run as a millennial, spunky millennial my age. Usually you don't stay at a company for 7 years, but things happen in life, and you have to deal with them. But I really want to get back on top. I really want to experience success. And it really has been a challenge in trying to find that success again and really being able to, continue to hit the pavement, continue to persevere, and continue to try to say, hey, I've got all these skills. I've done so much things. I've done so many things. I call myself a hybrid communicator because you can't really put me in one particular bucket. So I've done so many things, and I thought I could articulate that well on my resume, getting some of these interviews, but not necessarily sealing the deal and getting the job. And the main part of it is really the morale. Once you keep getting told no, that kind of messes with your morale a lot. Especially when like I know, that I have great skills and I have a lot to offer to an organization. I love consulting. I've stepped into that, and I definitely would like to continue doing that. as the years go by, but I definitely still want to kind of get my foundation back and being at a full-time job and having that experience too.
So Rebecca's in a place where we all kind of hope we never end up. Your worst nightmare actually came true.
Yeah.
Right? Where you're not working and it's not that easy to go back and get a job.
Yeah.
So I took a look at your resume, and it's a big resume, but I think it's so broad.
It's so broad.
It's so broad. I'm not really sure, like, what you're specializing in. So my first recommendation would be for you to maybe have 2 or 3 resumes.
Mm-hmm.
One that concentrates specifically on public relations. One that concentrates on marketing. One that concentrates on, right? So social media. So that you're really more of a specialist as opposed to just a generalist.
Okay.
That would be my first suggestion. But your resume is getting you in the door. And you've had a lot of great interviews.
Yes.
Something's happening in that interview process.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you're not like reeling them in. So your homework assignment, should you decide to accept it, and I know you will. So your homework assignment is that I want you to record all of the questions that you've been asked as part of your interview.
Okay.
Right? Because with so many interviews, you have to know what you've been asked at this point.
I can go back and think about it. I wasn't really taking tally of that, but I can go back and get a general conception of what I've been asked.
So I want you to then record your answers.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And see how those answers are coming across. And I'm going to set you up with someone who can do a mock interview with you.
Okay.
So that we can see for ourselves, like, how is Rebecca presenting herself in these interviews.
Got it.
That sound fair?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things we're going to do. We're going to work on 3 different resumes.
Yes.
Kind of stream it down a little bit.
Yes.
And your interview questions and answers, and we're going to give you a mock interview over the next couple of weeks.
I have a question.
Yes.
How long is too long for a resume? I know some people say 1 page, some people say 2 pages, some people say 3 pages, and I know sometimes it definitely varies. So what's a happy medium?
So I don't think that 3 pages is too long, but if the job details are so varied, it's all over the place. Mm-hmm. So if you can do a 2-page and really emphasize social media, if you can do 2-page and a 2-pager that emphasizes marketing, like, that's fine. But I just feel like I don't know where to land on your resume because there's so much. And granted, you've done all of it. So again, I think just streamline it. So you can do 2 pages. You can do 3 pages as long as they're very focused.
Got it.
Okay? So that we're not confused when we get your resume.
Got it.
All right? Okay. When is a good time to ask for references? And that's a good question. So one of my tips is to always get permission to use someone as a reference before you list them as a reference.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people I get a phone call out of the clear blue sky from someone who's reported to me before that they're using me as a reference and they didn't even call me. Mm-hmm. Now, they're just assuming that I'm going to say great things about them. But they don't know that for sure. And there was one young woman who worked for me, and she went to lunch and never came back. And the next time I heard from her or anybody from her was someone calling to ask for a reference. Clearly that couldn't have gone over well.
Cheryl's Pink Couch tip. Always get permission to use someone as a reference before you list them, and then tell them which skills and strengths you'd like them to emphasize for you on your behalf.
Don't leave it up to them to tell, a future employer what they think is great about you. You tell them what you think is great about yourself that you'd like them to talk about. Okay? All right. So thank you, viewer, for that question. So now we've got Miley. Miley, tell us about yourself.
I am a communicator, and I've been in this sector for a while. I've been in corporate, and now I'm in nonprofit, and I've always really felt drawn to bring my talents to a role that allows me to impact the world. I've reached a level in my career where I'm, thinking about what's next, what my next big audacious goal is, and I'm just looking for some insight and some guidance on how I might take those steps or ask for the right things to really allow me to be a do-gooder with resources.
So you like social responsibility, corporate, sustainability, that type of thing?
Community affairs, engagement, just really being able to have a role that impacts. And right now I'm really focused on communications and marketing, and we do a fair share of that. But what are the other elements that I could bring my talents to help me at the end of my career to say I've done what I wanted to do?
Okay. So what do you want to be when you grow up, Miley?
A do-gooder, but with resources and whatever that looks like, whether it's resources in the office or resources with staff or resources in my title and my compensation. But I want to do good.
Okay, so one of the challenges about a pink elephant is making sure that it's smart based, right? And we've talked about that, all of us. So smart based is it needs to be strategic, it needs to be measurable, right? It needs to be attainable, realistic, and time based. So to be a do-gooder, how do you know when you've reached that? How's that measurable?
How's that measurable? I mean, I'm making my way there. I think by transitioning from corporate to nonprofit got me in that space of building out my skills, so I understand sort of what the environment looks like. I think measurable. When will I be able to measure and say that I've achieved it? Perhaps having that as part of my job scope, having the engagement piece, or having some corporate social responsibility as part of my communication, or marrying that with my communication skills. I think looking at new titles or things that encompass that.
Absolutely. So if I were you, I would say I want to be a vice president of community affairs by XYZ date. That's measurable. You're doing good, right? It gives you something that you can say whether or not you have or have not achieved it by a set date. And when you set dates, you work yourself backwards from that date. So if you say you want to be promoted to a VP in your current company or your current nonprofit organization by 2021, that's a year. So what has to happen in that year? How do you communicate that to your current manager? How do you share that you're ready for that?
Cheryl's pink couch tip. Time your initial raise request to coincide with your budget planning for the upcoming fiscal year. This ensures that no one can tell you there's no money in the budget for your raise.
You've worked for some major corporations and nonprofits, and you've been doing this for 16 years.
Yeah.
Girl, it's time for you to be a VP. So I suspect the reason you're not a VP yet is because you're playing small and you're not allowing yourself to put yourself out there. So I would suggest that in order to be perceived as a VP, you start thinking as a VP. And one of the things you said in your intake form was that you manage people. How big is your team?
8.
You got 8 people on your team, and yet you still feel like you're in the weeds doing things. So I need you to step back and learn how to delegate. Find a number 2 person on your team that you are confident can help you do the things that keep you in the weeds, and assign them those weeds, right? And then I need you to block off on your calendar every day.
That's the hard part.
If your boss said, I have a meeting for you, Miley, that I need you to come in, and from 9 to 10, is it hard for you to do that?
No.
It can't be hard for you to find time for you. So set aside 1 hour during business hours.
A day?
A day.
Okay.
A day. Set that time aside And what I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about projects that you can envision doing for the brand that isn't being done right now and working just on that. One of the ways you can do that, for example, is to look at what someone at another organization is doing. So it's research, right? So what do you see someone doing in community affairs at Boys and Girls Clubs? I'm just going to throw, right? Like, what do you see them doing? Is there any aspect of that that you can pull from that might work with your organization?
Right.
So pull together a process or an initiative that has community-based, like whatever it is that you're trying to do to show that you need to be community affairs-based. Pull together an entire initiative from concept and budget implications, the number of people, the verticals in the organization that it might like cross, and then I need you to present it to your manager. Now, you're not going to necessarily do that in 2 weeks.
Right.
But what you can do in 2 weeks is to step back and start taking that time. You got to own your time. You have to own your time. So if you're going to cheat at this, I would suggest you cheat by taking that hour. If you're not going to take it out during business hours because you think you can't, but you can. Right? Then take it out some other part of your day, but spend 1 hour just on this. 1 hour on looking at other corporations or nonprofit organizations that have community affairs vice presidents.
Yeah.
What are their requirements? What are they doing? Right? Who's hiring those roles? And even though you say you love being where you are, sometimes to get where you want to go, you got to leave and come back. So you need to consider the fact that if your organization isn't ready for a VP of community affairs, somebody else out there is. Those jobs aren't, like invisible. They're there.
All right.
How are you're looking at me skeptically. So.
I'm excited. I mean, all these things, they sound great, and I'm excited to do them. I'm thinking a little bit about the practicality of me carving out the hour. That's going to require the discipline that I feel like sometimes is the hardest. How do you take care of yourself and your own career needs when you feel like you've got a million balls in the air? So that's kind of for me, like the biggest thing I'm going to be trying to wrestle.
That's why I want you to find a number 2 person.
Yeah.
Who do you trust on your team? Like when you're out sick, who do you say, hey, everybody, is there anybody on your team that are you ever out sick? No. You're still out sick? No.
Yes and no. But I think I need to lean more into that.
Lean into a person. Yeah. Identify a person and start carving out an hour. Okay? And that means literally physically block it out on your calendar so no one can come in and push an invitation on your calendar or just pop in your door, like close your door, or if you have to go into a conference room, do that.
Okay.
But also, I need you to start looking online at companies that are actually hiring community affairs VPs.
Okay.
They're out there. You've got a strong enough resume. If I can name all the companies that you've worked for, girl, you can get this done in 6 months or less.
All right.
I'm sure of it.
Well, thanks.
Okay? All right. Darsh, you're my home star.
I am.
Tell me why you're here. You need some water? You okay?
No, I'm alright. I'm
Okay.
getting over a cold. So
All right.
It's been that. But no, hey.
Hey.
So yeah, no, initially, I graduated in 2017 and landed a really, really nice job out of college. And I think for me, I was super excited about that and loved it. But, all throughout college and honestly all throughout my life, I've always done something for myself. And I think kind of being constricted into somebody else's work schedule, I don't know, it never sat well with me for some reason. And it's like, my whole thing was, if I'm working this hard for somebody else, like, why can't I do it for myself? And that was kind of my vision behind that. So I took some time off and wanted to open up a restaurant. Go figure, when I found out it takes longer than 3 months.
Can you talk me through, unpack that? Why did you think you could open up a restaurant in 3 months?
You know what? I have society to blame for that, especially with,
It's society.
It's you guys. No, but also myself, right? I feel like we live in a generation, especially my generation, of instant gratification. And you see the next billionaire, you see the next YouTube star, now TikTok's the new thing, right? And it's like, oh, like I should be able to do that. But I think for me, kind of going on that journey, and kind of which led me to where I am, and since then I've started working again, but made me realize that you're not comparing yourself to other people's timeline. You're on your own timeline, and when you achieve your goal, it's different from when someone else is going to achieve their goal. So that leads me to being here. I think for me, you know, I love what I do. I love my 9 to 5, but I think for me too, I want to uphold that dream of still opening up that restaurant. And, you know, I grew up seeing my dad and, you know, my grandma and my mom cook a lot because I grew up in India. So, you know, I just grew up eating Indian food and home-cooked food, and chaat was India's street food, and remember kind of going with my friends and eating that and kind of having conversations on the beach and stuff like that, and it's always been good memories associated with that. And I think for me, I kind of want to bring that culture that kind of helped me become closer to my friends over to Chicago, because I feel like it's a market that hasn't really been explored before.
Okay.
And I'm excited to put my take on it.
Okay. So, how much research have you done about this restaurant? Where are you?
For sure. So since the 3 months, I have 3 months of research, but on top of, you know, working, but also kind of redwelling the contacts and stuff like that. It's been on a day-to-day thing, but I think it gets really difficult. You know, same with Miley, right? Where it's like, oh, you have a 9 to 5, but then, you know, more of the 9 to 6, but you also have to schedule time to go work out or, you know, do what you have to do. And I think it kind of falls through the cracks, right? In terms of kind of figuring out time to sit and figure out what you need to do to get that started.
Okay. So, you're where a lot of people want to be. So, which is, we want to have our own business.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm very happy that you said society is responsible for your delusional aspiration that you can open up a restaurant in 3 months. Because, you know, it's very much an instant lifestyle that we see on Instagram, etc. But they don't show you how many years they were toiling to get to that point.
Yeah.
Right? So what I would like you to do are a couple of things. First of all, I want you to identify 10 small restaurant owners in your neighborhood, or the neighborhood where you want to open up this restaurant. And try to set up meetings with at least 3 of them. Set up meetings directly with the owners, right? And try to talk to at least 3 of them. Don't come back to the table if you haven't had at least one conversation with them, right? And what you need to do is you need to find out, how long did it take for them to open up a restaurant in your ward? You're in Chicago, so things change ward by ward by ward, which is neighborhood by neighborhood here. So what you need to do is to find out, what does it take? What are the zoning or the code that you have, the codes that you have to be in compliance with, and start making a list. So once you've had those conversations, like how much did it cost them? Like how much does it cost them to run this restaurant on a monthly basis? How are you going to pay for your restaurant?
Are you asking me? Okay, gotcha. No, I think, okay.
I'm not paying for it.
No,
I'm going to pay for it.
No, I think for me, I want to do it with my own money. If I'm going to open it, I want to do it on my terms. So it's going to be funded by me.
Okay, so it's funded by you. And how much do you have saved for it?
20 grand.
Okay, so you got 20,000. Very good. How old did you say you were?
I'm 24.
Good girl. She's 24. Good God. You know, my son is over there like, oh my God. So she's got 20 grand saved. That's great. So, do you know how much it costs to run a restaurant?
Way more than that.
Okay, way more than that. All right. So, one of the things I want you to think of right now is your company that you're currently working for.
Yeah.
I need you to think of them as your investor.
Yeah.
Okay? They invest in you. How often do you get paid?
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly. So every other week, this investor is saying, I believe in you.
Right.
By paycheck. I learned this from my coach, Lisa Nichols.
Yeah.
And she said, like, don't quit your day job, girl. Think of it as your investor, and they're helping you get to your next level, right? So I need you to do a gratitude journal, first of all, every day, thanking the heavens that you have this job, because like we heard from the hopeful over here, like, you know, I'd like to have an investor. So they're your investor. Meet with 3 restaurant owners and identify what it takes in that ward to start a restaurant and how much money it costs them. So that you'll be able to say, okay, I've got 20,000, but I need 100, I need 150, I need 50. I don't know how much it you know, and how much it costs to maintain it. You have to have some kind of a baseline to start with. And have you developed a business plan yet?
I do have like a mock-up of a business plan from initially when I had that conversation, but I think the concept of the restaurant has changed since then, so that's something that I need to redo as well.
Okay. So when you set up these informational interviews with the restaurant owners, take your business plan in there, even if it's mock. Take it in. If they laugh you out of their restaurant, you know you got some work to do.
Yeah.
If they don't, then maybe you're not as far away as you think you are.
Yeah.
And then, based on those conversations, based on the cost that it's going to cost you, and you like take out your Medea, like I don't know if you all know Medea, but she like has a big calculator, she works it really fast. I want you to take out your Medea calculator and calculate how long you think it's going to take you to accumulate the money, the finances, and how long it's going to take you to like. How long does zoning take? Have you identified a building?
I think for me, so I travel a lot, and I really fell in love with the Austin's food truck scene, so I think that's similar. It's low cost, right?
I love the food truck.
And I feel like that's something unique, and Chicago's lacking that, and I think that's the route that I want to go to, because it's movable.
So food trucks are big in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is a little easier also than having like a brick and mortar.
Location, right.
Yeah. So, but still, how much do food trucks cost? So I'm gonna realign that homework assignment to make sure that you're incorporating a couple of food truck owners into this discussion too. So find them and talk to them in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And take your business plan in with you and see what they think about it.
Cool.
All right? And then we're going to work backwards.
Cheryl's Pink Couch tip: work backwards from your planned business launch date.
Gather up your information and then say, okay, it's going to take me not 3 months, but maybe 3 years or maybe 2 years. Right? You're like, oh, not 3 years. I can see it. Like, whoa, not 3 years. Maybe 2 years. Right? Maybe not. Maybe 18 months. But work backwards. Launch date is here.
Right.
You know what that's going to do? If you know launch date is June 20th, 2021, like every single month, you're going to be sweating to get done that month, the thing that's going to take you to the next month, and so on, so that you're like really moving in time with your launch date.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Are we clear what your homework is?
Yes.
What is it?
I'm reaching out to 3 restaurant business owners, food trucks included, and trying to have a conversation with them. Not trying to, having a conversation with them to learn a bit more about their business plan.
And taking your business plan in.
Yeah.
And then we're going to find a date.
Right.
Okay. Great. Hey, Maya, tell me why you're here and how I can help.
Well, I am here because I just graduated in May. I'm still trying to find my footing within my career field. I've been sending in applications for things that are more directly related to the things that I learned in the classroom, but I haven't been getting a lot of responses. And I'm still really indecisive about what I want my career to look like. So I really need advice for what I should do to set up a really good foundation for the rest of my career.
Okay. So how many interviews have you been on in the last 12 months?
In the last 12 months, I think I've been on 4 interviews.
You've been on 4 interviews. How many positions have you applied for?
I've applied for over 100 positions.
Over 100. Okay, that's a lot. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. All right. And what do you think is keeping you from getting more interviews? And they're telling us you need to talk louder.
Yes, I think one thing that I struggle with is setting up my resume to really draw in interviewers, but also I struggled through school GPA wise. So even though academically I was prepared and I understand the knowledge, and most of my professors would say, you know, that I had a really good grasp of the material. One thing that I did struggle with was getting that to show up in my grades. So because of the GPA and most of the positions within my field requiring a GPA, it's caused an issue with me getting interviews.
Okay, so what we're really going to help you tackle is how to ensure that you get an interview despite a low GPA.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So the first thing to kind of keep in mind is when you are interviewing, companies that call you in for an interview aren't really concerned about your GPA. Otherwise, they would have called you in for the interview.
Yes, ma'am.
So you really want to wow those employers when you get a chance to interview,
Yes.
so that they'll forget about your GPA.
Yes, ma'am.
What I think is important to keep in mind is that I read your resume.
Yes, ma'am.
There's nothing in there that tells me that you've gotten, 3 or 4 promotions in under a year.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I have not updated my resume since I graduated from school. Which, yes, I
Keep going. I don't know why.
right. I don't have a good reason why
Do you want a job?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So your homework assignment is going to be very easy. Is you need to update your resume.
Yes, ma'am.
I also noticed there's a typo in the first paragraph of your resume.
Oh.
So if I'm an employer and I see that you've got a typo in that very first paragraph, oops. So that's why you've applied for over 100 jobs perhaps, and you've not gotten that many callbacks.
Yes,
Because there's a typo. So I need you to identify the typo. I'm not going to identify it for you. That'd be the easy way, right?
Yes.
Cheryl's Pink Couch Tip. Make sure your resume is accomplishment-based, not responsibility-based.
So the difference between responsibility-based and an accomplishment-based resume is I'm responsible for writing press releases or wrote press releases, because you'll see a lot of that, right? Versus wrote 60 press releases a week, which resulted in a billion, million, gajillion media impressions over a year, right? Give me something tangible that I can actually share with the hiring person about what you've accomplished. This is also helpful for anybody, Miley, if you're looking for a raise. What are the accomplishments? So I'm going to pull my Chris Rock on you, right? So Chris Rock does an impersonation of, in one of his impersonation routines, he talks about how a dad will say, he should be given a brownie or brownie points because he took care of his kids. You're a dad. You're supposed to take care of your kids. So that's what I want you to think about when you're thinking about your resumes. If they hire you to write press releases, you're supposed to write press releases. You don't get extra brownie points for doing your job. You get the brownie points for going above and beyond. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So if I can't see that on your resume, if that's not shining and standing out at me, it means I'm not necessarily going to consider bringing you in. So your first job, Maya, is you got to get that resume tight. But you also have gotten a job offer.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's talk about that for a minute.
So I interviewed,
We're not going to say the company.
yes, recently, and got a job offer for a position that I'm really potentially excited about, but I do want something that will be more within my field in terms of giving me more control over a process, more control over analyzing data, just more something focused towards my career field.
So why'd you say yes?
I said yes because the job does offer some aspects of my field and some process analyzation, and it does get my foot in the door so that I can build somewhere and have that opportunity to put more things on my resume that I can say are within my field.
Okay. So really what you're doing is you're strengthening your resume.
Yes.
Okay, with experience.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to need you to also focus on short answers.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, Jacqueline, 20 years you worked,
Yes.
right? And tell me why you're here.
I am here because I am in the next phase of my life. After walking away from the automotive business in 20 years and picking up the camera in 2014, starting to photo document my son's journey as a mixed martial artist, which took me into combat sports. I photographed boxing and MMA, and then being recruited by Columbia.
You got recruited.
Yes, I was recruited by Columbia from
First time I've heard this. Okay, go on. We're going to work on your elevator pitch. Go on.
I was recruited by Columbia while I was at Kalamazoo Valley Community College because the director of my school said, you need to show the recruiter your pictures. And I fought him and said no. And he was like, you need to show it. And she looked at it and said, that's photojournalism.
Wow.
You need to come to Columbia. And I was just like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so once I got here...
So you loaded up the bus and moved to Chicago.
I put my life in storage and came to Chicago, lived in a little studio apartment, and realized, yes, photojournalism is my heart. I fell in love. I fell in love with it.
I love this story. For all of you 2.0, career stars out there, this is your story because it's never too late to follow your passion. Never, ever too late. And so often when we get to our 50s, we think, I'm too settled, I'm too comfortable. You came up out of your comfort zone and traded it for a studio apartment in a new city. Right? Do you know anybody here?
I have a couple of classmates from my high school in Colbert, Michigan that live here, but no, I didn't know anybody. And when I picked up the camera in 2014, people told me I was crazy that I could not earn a living taking pictures, which I'm not one to be told what I can't do because I will do it.
I love that. So this is one of the things, and I always say this, banish all naysayers to naysayers land. Send them to naysayers land. Let them all go live there together. But don't let them live in your space. Don't let them take up space in your head. So good for you for not paying attention to those friends because are they really friends if they don't support you? And
no, they weren't friends. They were just whatever.
Random people who had opinions about you and how you want to live your life.
Because I'm 50 picking up a camera.
Yeah. So, yeah. Wow. All right. So, here's what jumped out at me with your resume. It's hard to tell it's a resume. Because there's not one date on it other than the 2 dates when you completed your associate assignment, your degrees. And the future date for May 2020 when you'll get your bachelor's. So I know you're starting out, but I have no idea. It could be that you've been doing this for years. It could be that you've been doing this for a couple of minutes, but there's nothing on there that tells me anything about you. And without seeing your artwork with that piece of paper, it's hard to know that you're incredibly talented. So you do have a site that you send people to look at your work, correct?
Yeah, the resume that I sent you was actually an interactive resume, so that if you clicked on the links, it did take you to Portfolio. And if you clicked on the one for directing and producing, it took you to my short documentary. And the reason there's no dates is because I was trying not to age myself.
How would you age yourself? with your work? Like, even just knowing when you took those photos, how would that aid you?
You know, I didn't think about that. I've been trying so hard not to age myself. Because honestly, I have a CV, not just a resume.
Okay. All
My
right.
CV has a 30-year history.
Okay.
Has a 30-year work history. Because the automotive is my second career. I'm on my third.
Okay.
So,
I love that you reinvent yourself.
Yeah, so honestly, I think I was really hyper aware of trying not to age myself, that I didn't put the dates, but I started photographing combat sports in 2014.
Okay, so 2014 tells me that you got 6 years of experience shooting something. Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So that 6 years is something I can see in writing without having to click over to another, because, you know, I have a short attention span, clearly. So I went and I saw and I moved on to the next resume, because people are processing resumes all the time. So I didn't see what I didn't see, and I didn't bother to go to the next level. Right. So my suggestion is there a way to do both types of resumes? One that is interactive, where it does require people to click through, but you need to tell them to click through, because it didn't come through clearly to me that I needed to click on the next thing to get to the next level. Right? Okay,
and I apologize because I'm kind of a tech junkie, so I kind of keep up with trends and. Yeah.
And maybe the people who are going to be looking at your stuff they're also tech junkies. I wasn't, so let's assume that the person is not.
Okay.
Always assume the less denominator.
Okay.
Right, and work from that perspective, because I just didn't have a sense about you. I also thought that your pink elephant goal could be a bit more specific. You say you want to be a photojournalist, but no by when date, which means you could meander along forever and just aimlessly, right? Like there's no date in there. To have a day by, an expiration date, it literally starts your subconscious thinking about, oh my God, like I gotta get here. It doesn't mean that it can't be adjusted a little bit later.
Okay.
But having a date that you can work by, which means you're going to operate in that mindset. So, like, if you graduate in May and say you'd like to have a job by September, is that far-fetched? I don't know.
No.
So, when you and I talked, you said that you have actually had a couple of conversations with people who are doing what you want to do, right?
Cheryl's Pink Couch Tip. Set up 3 informational interviews, then ask those 3 interviewees for 3 additional names, and so on and so on. Informational interviews are all about getting details about an area in which you're unfamiliar in order to grow your knowledge base, as well as use this as an opportunity to network.
I don't want you to go too far the other direction of not trying to date yourself by not giving us any information about yourself.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So I would like you to try to set up, ask the couple of professors that we talked about, if they can give you names of people that you can talk to. I can give you names of folks that I want you to talk to.
Okay.
And somewhere between your schedule, figure out time to have at least 3 informational interviews with people who are doing what you want to do.
Okay.
And ask them if you can see how they present their resumes or their portfolios. Because I don't know how it's presented. It's not my field. So I don't know how it's done. But somebody who does this can tell you.
Okay.
Or, like, how do you interview for these jobs?
First job I interviewed for, which was the Columbia Chronicle, which I do work at now as a photojournalist.
Yes.
I submitted my resume, and I had to submit examples of my work, which, since I've been at the Chronicle, I do have a body of work where someone can click on the link and they can look at the things that I have written and I have photographed and see what I have done. So I do have that at this point.
Okay, which is good. But you didn't answer my question. Like, how do you interview, aside from college, right? The college paper, because is that where you're working right now?
Yeah.
What do, like, the Chicago Tribune, the Sun-Times, Associated Press, like, when you interview for them, do you know what they're going to ask you for?
Right now, no.
You don't know. You don't know. And
Right now, no.
so how are you going to be ready? I mean, you don't know. So what if you went and asked somebody, like an HR person there, hey, as an assignment,
Okay.
I'm interested in one day interviewing with you guys. What would I need to present? See if you can reach out to an HR person.
Okay.
I'm not trying to interview for a job right now. I'm just coming on an informational interview for you. But you know what informational interviews do? Is they also give you exposure to people who are in hiring positions, right? They give you that exposure, and maybe they don't have a job for you right now. But perhaps later on, like, you know, there's this young woman, where there was this woman who came in, and, you know, and I was impressed by her.
It works.
It works, Rebecca?
It works. It definitely works. I went on some informational interviews that you sent me on, actually. And even though it didn't lead to a full-time job, it led me to a freelance opportunity. And, but that freelance opportunity actually did lead to a full-time job. So informational interviews definitely do work. I talk to a lot of younger women too as well, and I tell them a lot about when I was doing this and going on informational interviews that they definitely work. So
Okay.
So we're going to go on some informational interviews. I think I have a question that came in. All right, if you have a full-time job, but you photograph events on the side, should that go on your resume? Yes.
yeah,
I do that.
Yes. If you have a full-time job, but you go on and you photograph events on the side, should they go on your resume? Yes, especially if they're good. We have another question?
Any tips on juggling your full-time job while getting your own business up and running?
Yes. You don't get any sleep. No. I'm going to tell you guys, I work my job. I work weekends. I work nights, right? So I fit my personal brand in between 2 in the morning and 7 in the morning. So 5 hours every day, I know I can work on stuff that's important to me. And if you're interested in getting to your next level of best, it's going to require you to come out of your comfort zone. It's going to require you to, like, lose a little bit of sleep. That's what you get in exchange for it. So our time is up. I want to say thank you to all the mentees. Yay, but round of applause for being here. I want to say thank you, you guys, because you're really very brave in, like, sharing this with us in front of everybody, and you're going to come back with your homework assignments completed. I want to say thanks to those of you who were able to tune in spite of our technical difficulties. This is going to be one of those, when we're famous, you guys, one of those, we started off with, like, no tech equipment was working, like nothing worked. So I want to say thank you for tuning in, and we're going to post this on Live from the Pink Couch YouTube channel. And you can tune in then, but you can also go to my website, powerfulpenny.com, and we'll have each of the ladies' stories up there as well. And we'll be back on March 8th with their homework assignments, and hopefully more of you will join and have more questions. Send your questions to me at LinkedIn, and I can try to answer some of those questions there as well.
This was a Powerful Penny LLC Pink Elephant production.